Alright, good morning and greetings from Southern California. Today we begin leg 2 of this road trip. We're gonna take the 395 north and really looking forward to it. It's supposed to be a marvelous scenic drive.
I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV, yeah.
I got tired of the freeway and decided to take the slower route here by San Bernardino. But it is not just any route. This happens to be historic Route 66. This is the BNSF yard, which is pretty huge. Lots of trains parked here on the side of the road. Alright, enough Route 66. Let's get back on the interstate.
Take the next right onto Dever Road.
We're gonna be crossing Cajon Pass here, the same route we took a week ago when we were coming from Las Vegas. This might have been more fun had we continued on Route 66, but this is fun enough, and it is beautiful. It looks much drier on this side of the pass, doesn't it? Here's where we're gonna switch over to US 395, but first, let's fill up, because gas will be more expensive in the more remote areas. I just realized I forgot to put my towing mirrors on, so let's do that real quick. We're back in the land of the Joshua Tree, the Mojave Desert. Is that a gigantic solar array I see in the distance? It sure is, right there by Kramer Junction. Alright, we're getting to the good part here. Red Mountain, Johannesburg, and Randsburg Ghost Town. And this is our first view of the snow-capped peaks of the Sierra Nevada. The last time I was here, it was February, and all those mountains were covered in snow. Now it is just the highest peaks. The dark area coming up ahead is the Coso Volcanic Field, and there's a very unique geological formation there called Fossil Falls, which was created by a prehistoric river, and it is beautiful. I saw it when I was here last winter, so I won't stop today, but it is definitely worth the short hike. This is such a beautiful, iconic, must-do drive, especially for someone like me from Florida. We don't ever get to see landscape like this. Coming up ahead, Owens Lake, mostly dry, and if we were going to Death Valley, we would turn right or east at this junction here coming up in Olancha. But we're going to continue. I have something else in mind. How about the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States? Yep, that's where we're going today, but the plan for the next few days is to do the whole Eastern Sierra Scenic Byway, all the way up to Lake Tahoe, with a quick detour to Yosemite Valley, perhaps, but all in good time. Sometimes you see the strangest stuff here in the desert. And there's a certain uniqueness to the texture of these mountains. And here we have them, the tallest peaks of the Sierra Nevada. I'm gonna stop by the visitor center here real quick, get some information on where to camp, hiking trails, that sort of thing.
That's amazing. It's 100 degrees down here and there's snow up there.
They have a raised relief map of the Eastern Sierra. Very cool.
Well, there you have it. Isn't that a wonderful sight? Well, I went to the visitor center and very nice, as they usually are. Now I've got some camping options. And this is the thing, I'm gonna try to park at, or camp at Whitney Portal, but if that were to be full, and now I have other options. And that's what I was asking them, you know. Other options at higher elevation. Because it is way too hot for the Alabama hills. It's 100 degrees out there. And I could run the Jenny, but I don't want to.
The Alabama Hills, by the way, is an area here coming up that is BLM land, so I could boondock for free. But let's try Whitney Portal first. I have a feeling we're gonna get lucky.
For the first time, the Colorado, not overheating, but the needle just inched up a little bit.
Well, it is over 100 degrees in the valley and we've been going uphill, so what to do? Turn off the AC, roll down the window, and turn on the heater, actually. It is up and up and up, relentlessly. Standing in front of us, proudly, Mount Whitney, 14,505 feet, or 4,421 meters above sea level. It is the tallest mountain in the lower 48. Here's the campground, and I think it is going to be my lucky day. I don't see any campground full signs, so let's look for one of those first come, first served sites. Some sites are vacant, but they have a reserved sign, so I have to look for a site that doesn't have that sign. I think this is it.
Yep, this is it. So this is how it works. You fill out the form and deposit it. Let me make sure it's well sealed. And there, 26 per night.
This is the creek that goes through the campground, and this is my site.
Pretty nice. You can see a hint of a mountain back there.
That's actually Mount Whitney, right there.
Well, yeah, not the most level campsite, but we'll survive the night.
There's a trail here that goes along Long Pine Creek, and the idea is to go up to the main road and look for cell phone signal. I'd like to call home, tell them where I am. But down here at the campground, there's no signal at all.
Cool cabins too.
We've made it to the main road. We can see Owens Valley there in the distance. Such majestic mountains. This is the trail that goes all the way to the top, but it is a 2-day hike and I'm not ready for that yet. Neither physically nor mentally. I don't even own a tent, but this is something I want to do in the future, for sure. Might do a short segment tomorrow. Here they have a restaurant and a store and they sell hiking and camping supplies. Very nice actually. Let's see what the trail looks like while I'm here. They have some information here, apparently, so let's check it out. Drones prohibited. I'm telling you, they're banning them from all the cool places.
Well, hiking this thing was obviously not in the plan for today, but someday, Whitney. That's cute.
Let's go back down to the campground.
It's a quite spectacular landscape.
Here's looking back towards Mount Whitney. What an awesome sight.
Oh yeah, as you can see, they have these boxes here, so you can store your food. So the bears don't eat it. Apparently, the bear can destroy your car if it really wants to go get what's inside. So I wonder what it would do to that pop-up. In any case, I think Minitini will be safe from the bears. I won't cook anything too aromatic, just in case. Here we are. Well, as you can see, it is pretty tight, but made it work somehow. Yeah, I almost hit the rock when I was backing. And here in the front, I barely fit, but right there on the line. It's a beautiful campsite though, let me tell you. Really nice. And you can see a hint of Whitney.
Well, good night.
Oh, good morning. Let's go for a little hike. Beautiful morning here. It's beautiful out here.
Here's the plan. I'm gonna try and hike to Lone Pine Lake, which is the farthest I can go without getting a permit anyway. About 2.5 miles.
Yeah, incredible, huh? Beautiful morning for a hike. As I said, I don't know if I said it, I'm just gonna do like an hour. Wherever I am by 9:30 or by 8:30. Yes, right. I'm heading back. It's a good exercise, you know. Hopefully I'll make it to the lake, but I don't know if I'm going to.
There's a raging waterfall, and even in mid-July, there's still a little bit of snow up here.
Look at a little stream here in the middle of the trail. Very cool.
It is getting wetter as we approach the creek. There, we've got company. And there's Owens Valley down there. You can even see the town of Lone Pine.
Well, you see, I'm expected to go across this waterfall here.
Yeah, this might be a showstopper. I don't really feel like taking off my shoes and fording this creek here.
Well, you can call me a chicken all you want, but I'm just not psychologically prepared to.
Oh, didn't feel like getting my feet wet, okay?
My only regret, really, I thought I was going to be able to get high enough so that I could get a better view of Mount Whitney itself. That's okay. This was a beautiful hike, and as soon as I get down to the campground, we're gonna hit the road again and continue north on the 395. Before that, I want to see the Alabama Hills and that movie road they have there. That would be really neat. Well, anyways, amazing how things work out. I had planned to return at 8:30 no matter what, and then I was thinking, maybe a little longer. Well, it is exactly 8:30. I guess it is nature telling me something.
Check out that view of the valley. I guess those are the famous Alabama Hills down there. This I can deal with. It is such a stunningly beautiful hike.
Okay, I am back, and there's gigantic ants on all of these trees. Ooh. Oh, isn't that like a $1 million view? Mount Whitney, it looks rather small, but it's that right there. Next time I come, I'm going all the way up.
Let's hit the road. Let's do it. The adventure continues. Next time I come, for sure, I'll definitely be prepared to make it all the way to the summit. In a year or two, give or take. What a view, huh? And no guardrails. Next up, the Alabama Hills. But first, let's go into town. We didn't see much of it yesterday. Besides, I'm kind of running on fumes here, so let's top off the tank. Also, I came back for photography's sake. I wanted to take some nice shots of the Sierra Nevada with the sun behind us. And you have to admit, it doesn't get much better than this. Let's go into the Alabama Hills. This here is called the Movie Road, simply because so many movies have been filmed at this particular location, and I can see why. It is a surreal landscape. You add to that the striking mountains, and you've got yourself a very photogenic combination. I'm gonna park right here because there's a trail I want to do. And is it me, or does Mount Whitney look like some kind of hooded ghost from this vantage point?
Oh, let's do the trail. Alabama Hills. Best time RV. That's a cool one.
Yeah, by the way, I've seen lots of rentals in this area, and not your traditional Class C RV, but Jeeps with pop-up tents and camper vans.
Very well marked trail so far here. This is totally beautiful landscape here in the Alabama Hills. And Mount Whitney back there. Yeah. Did I tell you it's the tallest? Yes, I did. The tallest mountain in the lower 48. I think I may have lost the trail. Maybe that way, maybe this way. It's probably that way, right? Yeah, I think so. Where is the road? Oh, there it is. The Mobius Arch.
Do you see what I see? I see like a boxer hugging that rock. Yeah, I know, I have a vivid imagination. This is called Mobius Arch, by the way. It is a very popular spot, so it is kind of hard to take that solitary Instagram perfect picture of the arch or with the arch. You have to wait for your turn. On the other hand, there is always someone willing to take your picture, although sometimes a selfie is the best way to go.
This is the Mobius Arch, and that's Mount Whitney in the background. This is amazing.
There is wildlife in this otherwise seemingly desolate place.
I'm sure the camera doesn't do it justice, but I'm gonna film it anyways. Just can't get over that view. Let's see the view from up here. Ah! Holy smokes! Scared the shit out of me.
I'm telling you, there's wildlife everywhere. See the hatchling? Apparently I walked right next to the nest.
Guess there's lots of wildlife in this area. I must be careful. All right, home sweet home. Let's have breakfast.
Tell you what, this is BLM land right here and I don't see any flight restrictions, so let's fly. Okay, one last quick little hike.
Check this place out. I guess that's the one they call the shark fin. This one, right? Alright, next up, Manzanar.
We are going to end this episode by visiting a historic site. And I hate to finish it with the downer, but this is called Manzanar. Not the happiest or proudest moment in American history. There's plenty of RV parking, so let's park. Generally speaking, I avoid visiting places like this. I prefer to stick to happy things and natural beauty. But this place in particular I wanted to visit because of its historical significance, and it happens to be along my route. This was the site of one of 10 war relocation centers, which is a nicer word for concentration camp. More than 120,000 Japanese Americans were relocated here during World War II, and even though most of it has been demolished, this one remains the best preserved one of the 10. And it is nowadays a National Historic Site. The visitor center here was originally the Manzanar High School Auditorium, which is one of the remaining original buildings. One of the exhibits draws a parallel between Pearl Harbor and 9/11 and that famous Ben Franklin quote, "They that give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." There are many ways to spin history, but in the case of Manzanar, it is pretty evident that what happened here was pretty messed up. I'm gonna go outside and drive the self-guided tour, just the highlights, and then we'll continue.
I got my map. There is a loop road that you can take, and that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, we are here, so...
The worst part of it all is these people were American citizens. They had sworn the Pledge of Allegiance to become naturalized citizens. Some were American-born Japanese descendants. In any case, they got neither the liberty nor the justice promised. Not until many years later. It wasn't until the 1990s that the government offered apologies and issued $20,000 individual payments to over 82,000 Japanese Americans. Ironic, isn't it, how much pain and suffering happened in such a gorgeous setting. But, as they say, a gilded cage, not that this was, but you know what I mean, is still a cage. Summers were unbearably hot, winters bitterly cold. Still, internists made many improvements that transformed the camp into a community. For example, they built this garden with pools, a fountain, named after camp director Ralph Merritt, who donated supplies and equipment for the construction. It became a sanctuary of tranquility for the Manzanar community. Couples even got married here at the park. And this is what remains, but you can imagine what it must have been like. Moving right along, apparently this is where the hospital used to be. Let's visit the cemetery. The concrete monument reads Soul Consoling Tower in Japanese, and it memorializes the 150 men, women, and children who died in camp. Of those, only 6 remain here. The back reads, erected by the Manzanar Japanese, August 1943. We could, of course, spend hours exploring by foot, immersing ourselves in the history told by the many remnants of buildings, pipes, orchards, ghosts. But we must go on.
Well, as you saw, I didn't spend a whole lot of time here, and I skipped a lot of stuff, especially those things that required more than, more than 50 feet walking. But staff housing over here, okay. Yeah, GoPro on the roof is capturing that. But you could easily spend an hour, even 2 here, if you want to see everything and explore every nook and cranny and contemplate what happened here. Now, do I continue straight or do I make a right? Oh, this is the historic entrance. Okay, we're gonna exit through here. This is the original entrance to the complex. And here they have some signs. This was the post office here to the right. And the town hall. Yeah, it was like a small city. And this here coming up ahead is the historic entrance. Administration. Okay, and I have internal police station. And that's the military police sentry post. Let's take a picture of the Manzanar War Relocation Center. I'm gonna change the card on this camera and we continue.
On the next one, we will visit the lovely town of Bishop, and we'll go for a hike or 2 in the mountains.
What a place, huh?
I'm riding in